The drama starts in a big school, where in a classroom our main lead, whose name is Seung, was sitting and thinking, although all the great people have said that everyone is equal, and the same is written in the Constitution, but everyone knows this is a lie. The world is dominated by those who are born with a golden spoon in their mouth. In his school, there were many rich boys studying, on whom this saying fit completely. After school, Seung goes to a coaching center for delivery work. There, he was looking at people studying with greedy eyes. Some materials were lying outside the class, so he happily takes them and hides them. Here is his profile. Mom is a maid, sister is an intern in a hair salon. Net worth is 40 million won in debt. Then we see Seung in a supermarket where he used to do a part-time job. There, a friend of his comes whose name is Seo-jun. The two talk to each other, but in between, Seo-jun becomes quite serious, so Seung asks him, "Is everything okay?" But then he makes fun and leaves. At night, Seo-jun messages him, "Thanks for everything, Seung." He was asleep, so couldn't see the message. Meanwhile, Seo-jun was crying loudly at home because his mom and dad had committed suicide due to being troubled by debt. The next morning, Seung runs to his house and sees that his friend has also committed suicide. Seeing this, he becomes very emotional and starts crying a lot. At the memorial, Seung's classmate, Tae-yoon, comes with his dad. Reporters were saying that these people committed suicide due to the demolition by the Dosan group. That's why they came here. But the dad says that his son's classmate has died. That's why they have come. Outside the memorial, bullies trouble Seung and slap him, then throw money at him, saying, "Money in exchange for a slap." After they leave, Seung thinks for a while, then picks up the money. Tae-yoon's grandfather sees him doing this from his car. Meanwhile, at Seung's part-time job, a new girl comes, who seemed to have a very careful nature. Her name was Joo-hee, who is the female lead. In the next scene, Seung was going to Park's house after completing a bully's assignment. Park was at home with a few other friends. While walking on the way, a crystal ball comes near Seung's feet. He picks up the ball and sees it. It was very beautiful. An old woman was sitting there running a small shop, and this ball had come from there. The woman and Seung look at each other. Then, out of curiosity, he starts checking all the items. The woman was telling a story behind every item. Then his eyes fall on a golden spoon, and the woman tells him, "This is not an ordinary spoon, this is a magic spoon. If you go to the house of someone a little richer than you and eat 3 meals with this spoon, your life will switch with his life. His parents will become your parents." Seung finds all this to be a lie and says, "Even if this is true, why would someone want to change their own parents?" Then the woman says, "Why? Don't you want to become rich?" Seung is unable to say anything. Seung reaches their house, which was very big and beautiful. There, besides Park, other people were also present. Park takes his assignment in front of everyone and arrogantly gives him money. Everyone was watching. Seung was feeling very insulted, but quietly takes the money and starts to leave. Then Tae-yoon stops him and says, "You are my guest, so you should eat before leaving." At the dinner table, everyone was being given golden spoons to eat with. When it was Seung's turn to receive one, Park stops him and mocks him, saying he probably hasn't even seen a golden spoon. So Seung says, "I may be poor, but my parents raised me with care. Wherever I go, I don't use any other spoon. I only use my family's golden spoon." Then Seung eats with the same golden spoon that he took from the woman. Over there, the woman also sees him eating in her crystal ball and becomes happy. In the next scene, Tae-yoon is working on the report given by his grandfather. Seung sees him and offers help. He gets quite impressed with Seung's intelligence. Then Tae-yoon shows the report to his grandfather, so he praises him. After that, Tae-yoon starts making his reports only with Seung's help and gives him money in return. In the next scene, we see that Joo-hee gets very surprised after seeing the name of Seung's school in his book and asks, "Top students go here, right?" So he says, "Yes, and rich people too," which I'm not. When Seung asks, Joo-hee tells him that she was expelled from school because of bad behavior, as she had fought with the police, but she has no regret. He says, "You should get a school diploma, otherwise for poor people like us, it becomes hard to survive." In the next scene, Tae-yoon comes to give money to Seung to prepare a report. He thinks, how lucky he is, he lives by his own rules, and his mom must be like that too. Then coming home, Tae-yoon looks at a photo of his mom, and also some sketches he had made of a girl. Over there, Joo-hee was returning from work with Seung. She was very hungry, so both of them go to a restaurant and eat. Just then, Joo-hee gets a call from someone. Seung asks, "Is it your mom's call?" So she says, "No, it's my dad's. My mom has passed away." In the next scene, Seung reaches Tae-yoon's house under the excuse of giving the report. He asks, "Have you had dinner?" So he says, "Yes, I already ate long ago." Then Seung says, "Can I have some noodles? I'm very hungry." At the table, he again takes out his spoon, but before eating, Tae-yoon's dad starts looking at him and remembers that this is the same boy who had picked up money from the road. He doesn't like at all that this boy has come to his house. Tae-yoon understands this and quickly takes Seung outside, saying, "You go home now." Seung starts leaving, but then sees the spoon, thinks something, and runs back inside. Then he starts eating the noodles and quickly finishes everything. After leaving from there, Sung is feeling very embarrassed and frustrated with himself that for the sake of a spoon, he got himself so insulted. In anger, he throws the spoon into the trash. Meanwhile, Tae-yoon's dad gets a call from Park, and he informs that all of Tae-yoon's reports were made by Sung. When Tae-yoon finds out that his dad has learned everything, he gets very scared and starts apologizing. On this, his dad says, "All right, you solve this problem yourself." The next day at school, Sung is called to a meeting in which Tae-yoon's stepmother and dad say that he used to scare and threaten Tae-yoon for money. He tries to explain to everyone that he had helped Tae-yoon a lot. That's why he had sent him money, but no one believes him. Tae-yoon also behaves like he is very scared of Sung. His stepmom wanted Sung to be expelled, so his dad falls at their feet and starts begging, saying, "Just give one chance, forgive my son. If he gets expelled, he won't even get admission in college." Seeing his dad in such a state, Sung becomes filled with shame and anger. After school, Sung calls Tae-yoon to meet him alone and asks, "Why are you doing this to me? I never asked you for money." He says, "Yes, that's true, but I don't need you anymore. That's why I'm getting rid of you." Seung says, "We are friends, right? Will I get expelled because of you?" Then Tae-yoon says, with a smile, "Friends? You thought we were really friends. You're not even worthy of being my friend." He had recorded the entire conversation on his phone. He says, "I'll upload this recording on the internet so the whole world will know what you and your family are like." Hearing this, Tae-yoon gets scared and says, "You want money, right? Take all the money. Just delete the recording." But Sung does not agree. Tae-yoon tries to forcefully take the phone, and both of them get into a physical fight. In that scuffle, Sung falls. Seeing this, Tae-yoon holds his hand to save him and tries to pull him up, but his hand slips and he falls down into the water. Sung was drowning in the water, and he understood that now he wouldn't survive. But just then, he sees his golden spoon. He swims in that direction and thinks, "I can't die this easily." Then he reaches the garbage heap where he had thrown his golden spoon and finds it. Then we see that Sung reaches Tae-yoon's house and says to his dad, "I know you don't like me, but please accept one last request of mine. Just give me one meal at your home." Hearing this, Tae-yoon's dad and stepmom feel very strange. On the other hand, Tae-yoon was returning very scared from there because he feared that Sung had drowned in that water. Tae-yoon's dad accepts Sung's request, and food is served to him. When he takes out his golden spoon to eat, they ask, "Why do you always carry your spoon with you?" So Sung says, "Because I want to change my fate." Then Sung starts eating quickly with his spoon. Just then, Joo-hee also arrives at Tae-yoon's house to meet him. When asked at the gate, she says, "I'm Tae-yoon's friend and came to meet him." But the gate doesn't open for her. So then she says, "I'm Joo-hee, Tae-yoon's fiancé." Here, Sung was thinking that, according to that woman, after 3 meals, life was supposed to interchange, but nothing like that seemed to be happening. Thinking all this, he starts leaving from there with his spoon. He was just leaving the dining hall when Joo-hee comes there and slaps him hard and says, "Saw you after so long, and how could you do this to Seung?" Tae-yoon's dad also comes in from inside and says, "Joo-hee, why did you slap my son?" Seeing all this, he thinks that maybe, really, our lives have changed. Just then, some police officers come inside and take him, meaning Jin, for questioning, because Tae-yoon was last seen with him. The police were searching for Tae-yoon everywhere. When Sung, that is Tae-yoon, comes outside, his mom, crying, starts asking him, "Where is my son? Nothing happened to him, right?" Seeing his family in such a state, he feels very sad. Just then, Tae-yoon's driver comes and asks him, "Why did you suddenly get off the car like that?" Hearing this, Seung calls Tae-yoon, but they don't get connected. Then, when he finds out his location, he reaches the hospital and tries to find out why Tae-yoon is Sung. He realizes that Tae-yoon is also confused and doesn't clearly know who he is. After reaching home and seeing everything, Jin feels very happy. Everything was better than he had imagined. Roaming here and there, he was looking for his, meaning Tae-yoon's, room. Then, with the help of the driver, he reaches his room. He had taken the floor plan of the house from the driver. After reaching the room, he is stunned to see that this room is so nice. Seeing all the expensive items, he becomes very happy. His eyes fall on the portrait of himself. He remembers the words of that woman, who had said, "After using this spoon, you will remain the same, but all the other people will change." The next day, Sung finds out that Tae-yoon is being expelled from school. Hearing all this, he cannot stay silent and he says, "Everyone knows, but still Sung is being expelled. Just because his dad is poor. You all should be ashamed of yourselves." After leaving from there, he sees that Park was bullying Tae-yoon and hitting him. Seeing this, Sung hits Park and threatens him. "If you bully him again after today, it won't be good." Park gets very angry and can't understand what has happened to his friend. He says, "I saw you myself giving him money during your part-time job." Meanwhile, Tae-yoon, sleeping, wakes up scared remembering his dad. He still remembered his old routine a little, so he was very confused. On the other side, Seung reaches the table for dinner and thinks to himself that for President Hwang, the most important things are time, order, and money. His morning starts at 4 o'clock, and the first thing he receives are the updates of the Do Shin group. If any employee makes even a small mistake, they are fired immediately. Money is the only factor that makes him smile. In the next scene, we see that one of President Hwang's men informs him, Tae-yoon, that is Seung, has been spending a lot of money these days. He went shopping a lot with his driver because his monthly allowance was 18 million won. The driver was feeling strange because those clothes were different from Tae-yoon's usual style. Meanwhile, Tae-yoon, reading the comics written by Seung's dad, Jin was laughing a lot. Everyone found it strange because earlier, he did not like those comics. When mom serves food, Tae-yoon initially makes a fuss, but after eating it, he likes it very much. Just then, a man from there comes and gives gifts to everyone, which Seung had sent for his family. Tae-yoon, that is Seung, and his dad used to have dinner together every Friday. He explains to him, these days you're spending too much money. You should understand the value of money. So Seung says, this money is mine, I have to use it myself. Hearing this, his dad is shocked. Just then, Joo-hee comes there with her dad and joins them. Seung finds out that Joo-hee is Tae-yoon's fiancé. He is completely shocked. During dinner, Joo-hee says, I don't want to do this marriage. I don't always want to be someone's daughter or someone's wife. I want to live my own life. And she leaves from there. Seung gets up to go after her, and before going, turns back and says, high school students getting engaged. Even I don't think this is right. Joo-hee goes to the supermarket for her part-time job. So Seung also follows her and says, you are very brave for refusing the engagement. They are talking when a drunk man comes there and vomits, so Seung starts cleaning it. Seeing this, Joo-hee is very surprised. After coming outside, Seung asks, you don't need to. So why are you working at a store like this? So she says, working makes me feel independent. It makes me feel that I too can do something. During the conversation, Joo-hee slips and starts to fall. Then Seung catches her. A moment was just forming between them, when both quickly say bye to each other and leave. Joo-hee was coming home thinking, he has changed so much. It felt like he was a different person. As soon as she reaches home, her stepbrother comes outside and shouts at her, why did you break the engagement? Actually, President Hwang was going to invest in their business, and now he was afraid that after the engagement broke, he would back off. In anger, he even starts to raise his hand on Joo-hee. But just then, their dad comes and stops him. Park did not get admission to the special class, so his dad beat him badly. He thinks all this happened because of Seung. The next day, Tae-yoon gets ready and leaves for school. From behind, Seung's dad comes and gives him some money. He feels that this money is very little, but he happily takes it and leaves. Seung happily goes to meet his family, gives them a check of 18 million won, and says, this will clear all your debts. But his mom refuses to take it and returns all his gifts. And she says, you are doing all this just because Seung is in this condition because of you. But what do you think that we will forgive you? Just leave my son alone. Saying this, she leaves. In class, Joo-hee sees Tae-yoon, that is Seung, and runs to him. They are talking on the roof. Then Joo-hee says, only come to the supermarket when you're fully recovered. He gets a little confused. After a bit of struggle, he remembers that he used to do a part-time job at the store. Seeing him so confused, Joo-hee holds his face in her hands and asks, are you okay? He asks, have I ever proposed to you? Joo-hee says, no. So he says, thank God, because I don't propose to girls sitting in front of them. They are talking when Park arrives there with his friends and takes Seung, that is Tae-yoon, with him. There, Seung is walking around commenting on the interior of his house and also orders water. He was behaving completely like Tae-yoon, not like Seung. Park threatens to shoot him with a gun. Seeing the gun, he becomes very scared. Seung, that is Tae-yoon, receives a call saying that Park has taken Tae-yoon somewhere, and since then, he is missing. Hearing this, he reaches his car in fear and says to the driver, go to Park's house. Meanwhile, Park is beating Tae-yoon very badly. In the middle of the beating, Seung arrives there. Seeing his condition, he tells him to leave from there. Park says, what has happened to you? You've started behaving so strangely. Seung was always our toy. We always treated him like this. So what's your problem? Seung says, if he is our toy, then let's kill him. Park's friend gets scared and stops him. No, doing this would be wrong. Seung, that is Tae-yoon, now points the gun at Park. It looks like he is really going to shoot him. Then we hear the sound of a gunshot. In the next scene, we see Tae-yoon in the elevator talking to someone on the phone saying, do as I said, I'll handle everything, because I'm one Tae-yoon. Then he goes to his dad's office. At that time, he wasn't there, so he sits on his chair. Just then, his eyes fall on the will kept on the table. It was written in it that he would not leave anything for his son. Seeing this, he feels very strange that the president doesn't want to leave anything for him. He is thinking all this when the sound of the president arriving is heard, and he quickly gets up from his chair. The president asks, "What are you doing here? Do you have any work?" Tae-yoon says, "I've got a problem." Then he tells him about Park, so the president calls Park's dad and handles it, and also adds, "I trust my son." Hearing this, Tae-yoon smiles. While leaving, he turns and asks, "Do you love me?" So he replies, "Yes, I do. Absolutely, I do." But his expression looked a bit unconvinced. On the other side, we see Park, who was in the hospital. His mom was very angry, saying, "So what if he's the president's son? He'll do anything. He's put our son in this condition. And where is he?" Just then, Tae-yoon arrives there, and she says, "How could you shoot my son? You're a monster." Tae-yoon says, "I didn't shoot him. I just fired to the side." Then he tells about Park. He used to call Seung and black shoot him, beat him, harass him. That's why I wanted to make him feel fear. Outside the hospital, Seung was also there, in a very bad condition. Tae-yoon comes to him and Seung asks, "Why did you save me?" Then Tae-yoon says, "Because you were getting beaten up because of me." Seung doesn't understand and asks, "What does that mean?" So he says, "Just understand that today my debt is settled." Then he drops Seung home and says, "Don't tell your parents about the Park matter, otherwise they'll worry for no reason." As Tae-yoon is about to leave, he hears shouting from inside the house, so he stops. Inside the house, the landlord had come with his men and was shouting a lot because rent was not paid. Tae-yoon watches everything from the window and starts getting very angry. After everyone leaves the house, he hides outside the gate and listens to the conversation between his dad and the landlord. His dad is requesting the landlord, "Please give them some more time to pay the rent," and he holds his feet. The landlord kicks him away very badly. The real Seung feels very bad seeing such behavior with his dad, and tears start flowing from his eyes. Seeing this, he says to himself, the decision to change parents was absolutely right, and he walks away from there. On the way, Tae-yoon remembers Mill and thinks, something has to be done. Seung's dad is very happy seeing the money he got from work, and goes to a bakery shop to get a cake because the next day was Seung's birthday. Coincidentally, it was also Tae-yoon's birthday, and a lot of preparations were going on for him. It was all very new for him. He had never seen so many gifts together before. In the next scene, we see Joo-hee, who reaches Seung's house and wishes him for his birthday, and also gives a gift. Seung then takes her to his room. On the other side, Tae-yoon's birthday was being celebrated. After cutting the cake, he thanks his parents and additionally gifts some shares to his dad. Because of this, his dad and all the people present there get very impressed. Meanwhile, Joo-hee becomes happy seeing Seung's certificates and books in his room, and thinks that their room was exactly how she had imagined. They are talking when Joo-hee sees a cockroach. She screams and tries to hide behind Seung, but seeing the cockroach, Seung himself gets scared and pushes Joo-hee forward. In the process, both fall down. The moment becomes a little awkward, so both quickly move away. Just then, Joo-hee gets a call from her dad, who tells her to come to Tae-yoon's party. Then Joo-hee also reaches the party. Seung was with her. Joo-hee says, I came because of my dad, but why did you come? So Seung says, I also have some work here. Just then, Tae-yoon's stepmom asks him to play the piano, because Tae-yoon used to play his favorite piece on every birthday. Everyone present there starts cheering for him. Tae-yoon, that is, the real Seung, didn't understand how to escape this situation now because he didn't know how to play the piano. Just then, the real Seung, that is, the real Tae-yoon, arrives there and starts playing the piano, and he was playing the same piece that Tae-yoon was supposed to play. Seeing him play, the stepmom thinks he's playing exactly like Tae-yoon. Everyone gets surprised seeing him play so well. After this, he goes to Tae-yoon and says, this is a gift. You did it for me with Park, so… And saying this, he leaves. Just then, Joo-hee comes and gives him the letter that the old woman had given her. Reading the letter, Tae-yoon panics and starts searching for that Seung everywhere. In the letter, the woman had written that if either of the two meet their real parents on their birthday, then both will return to their real life. While searching for Seung, Tae-yoon bumps into a man, and the letter falls from his pocket without him realizing it. Finally, Tae-yoon finds Seung. He was in the elevator. At that moment, Tae-yoon's dad is also heading towards the elevator. Seeing this, Tae-yoon hugs him and doesn't let go until he enters the elevator. Tae-yoon says, today is my birthday, so I wanted to hug you. In his room, Tae-yoon is searching for the letter everywhere but can't find it. Then he wonders if that woman had made any other such rules. In the next scene, we see Tae-yoon going with Joo-hee to find that old woman, but she's not there. Tae-yoon asks Joo-hee, what were you doing here? So she tells him that she had gone to Seung's house because he had invited her on his birthday. Joo-hee is telling Tae-yoon about Seung and his house. So Tae-yoon criticizes Seung and his house and says, how could you go to a place with so many cockroaches? So Joo-hee says, she likes Seung. That's why she can't listen to his insults. Hearing this, Tae-yoon becomes completely shocked and confused. Ta-yoon's driver collects information about that landlord and tells him that he is a small-time gangster and leases out his dad's property. The next day, Ta-yoon meets the landlord with his driver and talks about buying the property from him, but he refuses. Ta-yoon was talking rudely to the landlord, so the landlord, in anger, raises his hand to hit him, but the driver stops him and then single-handedly beats everyone. After getting beaten up, the landlord happily sells his property to Tae-yoon, and on his request, takes a gift basket to Sung's house and says, "Till today, whatever I said, I wasn't in my senses," and starts apologizing. He says, "From today, I will never raise the rent again." Sung and his family are completely shocked to hear him say such things. Then we are shown a homeless woman, who seemed a bit crazy. This woman, at the same magic shop spot, says, "Granny, where are you? Give me my golden spoon again." In the next scene, we see the school, where students were playing. Tae-yoon was noticing that Joo-hee always stayed with Sung, and both were getting close to each other. Seeing this, Tae-yoon becomes jealous. When Joo-hee is returning home from the supermarket, a man reaches her and tries to kill her, but Tae-yoon arrives at the right time and saves her, and the man runs away from there. Tae-yoon asks her if she knows him. Joo-hee tells him that he is the dad of her friend Nara, and all of this is happening because of that watch. Joo-hee and Nara used to study together in school. Nara had once stolen Joo-hee's watch, because of which Joo-hee's dad had transferred her school. Joo-hee had found the watch, so she could have stopped Nara, but at that time she was also angry, because that watch was the last memory of her mom. A few months later, she had come to know that Nara had died due to some illness. She had gone to her memorial, then her dad started shouting at her, saying, "Because of this, my daughter died." In the present, Tae-yoon explains to her that whatever happened, it wasn't her fault, so she shouldn't blame herself. In the next scene, Tae-yoon was searching for something in his dad's study so he could impress him. Just then, his dad comes there and asks, "What are you doing in my study?" He says that he wanted to study a little before the shareholders meeting, that's why he came. The president says, "You read my will in my office, right? That's why you're trying to impress me." Tae-yoon says, "Yes, I had seen it, and now I've changed, and I'll make myself worthy of becoming your successor." Then his dad says that words alone aren't enough. He'll have to show proof that he has really changed. In the next scene, we see that Tae-yoon was sitting in class. Just then, he gets a message from someone. "I know everything." He doesn't understand, and ignoring it, opens his book, and from it, the same letter falls out. Then another message comes. "You're not Tae-yoon." Seeing this message, Tae-yoon gets completely scared and gets up and starts looking around to see who sent the message. But everyone was busy with themselves. Just then, the real Tae-yoon, holding his phone, enters the class and comes and stands in front of the real Sung, staring at him. Tae-yoon thinks maybe he's the one who sent the message, so he calls the number from which the message came. Sung's phone doesn't ring, but a phone rings in the class. Tae-yoon looks around and sees Joo-hee cutting the call. He looks at Joo-hee completely shocked, and Joo-hee also looks at him. Then Tae-yoon opens the envelope in which the letter was, but it's empty. While entering the class, Tae-yoon was thinking, who could have sent me the messages? Could it be that he too used the golden spoon like me and changed his life? He even suspects his classmates, wondering if one of them sent him the message. Then, looking at Joo-hee, he thinks maybe it could be her. That time her phone was also ringing. Maybe it's not a coincidence. And after being so rich, why does she still do a part-time job? Her friend's death also upset her a lot. After class, Joo-hee and Yoo-jin were walking and talking that Tae-yoon and Sung were looking at each other angrily. "Is this because of you, because you flirt with both guys?" Joo-hee denies it. So Yoo-jin says, "If you don't, then that's good because I'm interested in Tae-yoon." Just then, Yoo-jin gets a call from someone and Joo-hee realizes that she forgot her phone in the class. She quickly starts heading back to class. Meanwhile, in the class, Tae-yoon takes her phone out from Joo-hee's bag. It was locked, then he was trying to identify the pattern. Just then, Joo-hee comes in and takes her phone from Tae-yoon's hand. She scolds him, saying, "Since when did you start checking other people's things?" He asks, "Who called you in the morning?" Joo-hee first refuses to tell, but then after he repeatedly asks, she shows her phone that it was her dad's call. So he says sorry to her and tells her that someone is trying to blackmail him. That's why he suspected Joo-hee, because her phone was ringing. He was looking at the message and thinking something. Just then, Sung comes from behind and sees his message and says, "Who sent you such a message? I didn't send it." Sung, that is, the real Tae-yoon, then says, "I had noticed that you and Joo-hee often spend time alone in class. It would be better if you don't bring my Joo-hee down to your level." And saying this, he leaves with Joo-hee. The real Tae-yoon gets irritated hearing my Joo-hee from his mouth. In the next scene, we see that Joo-hee calls and summons Tae-yoon to the police station because the police had caught the man who attacked Joo-hee. Tae-yoon asks the policeman, "How was that man caught?" Then the policeman tells him he had entered his old house saying that he was missing his dead daughter a lot, and the people in the house then informed the police. Joo-hee says that's Yoo-jin's house. Nara's family used to live on rent in that house earlier. Knowing this, Tae-yoon becomes suspicious of Yoo-jin. He recalls Joo-hee saying, "Nara was healthy like this but suddenly died due to illness." He thinks, could Yoo-jin have used the golden spoon? Tae-yoon meets Yoo-jin, who was waiting for him. Tae-yoon says, once you said that a girl died because of Joo-hee. What was that girl's name? She says, her name was Nara. Tae-yoon says, I had heard that Nara used to live on rent at your house. Yoo-jin says, Joo-hee shouldn't have told this because Nara wanted to keep it a secret. Tae-yoon asks, when you care so much about Nara, then why did you send her dad to jail? He just came to your house remembering his daughter. At this, Yoo-jin says, I did it for Nara. Her dad was not a good man. She didn't have a mom, and her dad used to beat her a lot. Saying this, Yoo-jin starts to leave. Tae-yoon says, Nara, then you are Nara, right? Seung was making sketches, and he also receives a message. You're not Seung, right? His two friends were also with him. They too received the same message. Meanwhile, Tae-yoon calls Yoo-jin by saying, Nara. First she gets shocked, then says, you're the one who sent me the message, right? And shows her phone. Tae-yoon sees that she also got the same message. You're not Yoo-jin, right? Tae-yoon, confused, thinks, after all, who is sending these messages? Next scene, everyone in class is talking about the same message. Then Park admits, I was the one who sent the messages because everyone had become so busy with studies and I wanted to distract everything. Seung, sitting in class, was eating something, so Park taunts him and says, you said you don't use a normal spoon, you use your golden spoon. Then how are you eating now? At first, Seung doesn't remember anything about the golden spoon. Then the real Seung's memories start getting replaced, and he remembers that he was using his golden spoon in Tae-yoon's house, and he thinks, after all, where is my golden spoon? Later, he tries to search for it in his room, but he doesn't find the spoon anywhere. He feels it must have been left at Tae-yoon's house. Tae-yoon then goes with the driver to see an apartment, which he wanted to give to his real family. Their stepmom was busy preparing for someone's arrival. It seemed someone important was coming. Just then, she receives a message from someone, and it is revealed that Tae-yoon has bought the apartment. In the next scene, Seung has come to Tae-yoon's house and says, I want to meet Tae-yoon. His stepmom says, Tae-yoon isn't here, so come later. But he goes inside, saying, I'll wait. On the other side, Tae-yoon was having dinner with Joo-hee. During their conversation, Joo-hee tells him that after the shooting incident at the status, Tae-yoon has been having panic attacks. After dinner, Joo-hee talks about breaking off the engagement and says that they should just remain friends. So Tae-yoon says, I don't want to break the engagement because now I've started liking you, and I will try to win your heart. Tae-yoon's stepmother tells Seung to play the piano. So he plays, and she listens very carefully. She is very surprised and says, Seung is making the same mistakes that Tae-yoon used to make. She asks, did you learn to play the piano by watching Tae-yoon play? He denies it. Just then, the maid calls for dinner, but Seung refuses and says, I only eat food from my own house. His stepmother says, you've eaten here many times with your golden spoon. The maid tells him to wait in the guest room, but he says, I will wait in Tae-yoon's room. Then he checks and finds his golden spoon. At that moment, Tae-yoon arrives home. He knew Seung was there, and he rushes into his room, only to see Seung holding his golden spoon. Tae-yoon tries to take it from Seung. Seung, that is the real Tae-yoon, moves his hand away and says, this is my spoon. I clearly remember I ate with it right here. I couldn't find it, so I came to check, and here it is. Tae-yoon forcibly takes the spoon and, shouting, says, this is my spoon! Seung finds it strange and thinks, why is he overreacting so much for a spoon? And begins to leave. Tae-yoon remembers Joo-hee's words that the real Tae-yoon has panic attacks. So he stops him, gives him medicine, and says, I spoke rudely to you, so sorry, you keep this. It's a very good supplement. In the next scene, we see Yoo-jin, who had come to meet Park. Park says, on your request, I sent prank messages to everyone. She says, this is just the beginning. There's much more to do. Park asks, why should I do anything for you? Yoo-jin comes close to him and says, because I like you. After saying this, Yoo-jin leaves. As she leaves, Yoo-jin recalls when Seung and Tae-yoon were fighting, and she had filmed the video and also informed the police about Seung falling into the water. Now, Yoo-jin, near the police station, watches Nara's father getting arrested and thinks to herself, you should have behaved better with me. From her words, it's clear that she is actually Nara, and she too used the golden spoon. Meanwhile, a new person enters their house, named Jun-tae. It is revealed that Jun-tae is the stepmother's brother, and he had come to meet them. At first, Tae-yoon doesn't know who he is, so he talks casually. Jun-tae behaves very friendly in front of everyone, but after dinner, alone, he starts choking him and says, how dare you talk to me looking into my eyes? 5 years ago, not a single word came out of your mouth. Tae-yoon's condition becomes very bad, and he gets very scared. On the other side, Tae-yoon, pretending to be Seung, is very happy. He had drawn a sketch of his mom and dad, which makes them very happy, and they say, our son is amazing. We didn't know. Just then, his sister tells everyone about the apartment. No one believes that such a good apartment could be found at such a low price. She says, Tae-yoon's driver was telling me this. Hearing the driver's name, Seung remembers he is Tae-yoon's driver and realizes Tae-yoon must be behind all this. Here, Tae-yoon takes out his golden spoon, which was to be used for the last time today. He remembers how happy his family is with the new Tae-yoon, and he decides that he will always remain Tae-yoon. Just then, he gets a call from Seung, and he calls him to meet. Upon meeting, the real Tae-yoon says to the real Seung, "Why are you doing all this? Are you doing all this because of Joo-hee? I think you want to buy the apartment after seeing it." They argue about money, and the real Tae-yoon says, "I have nothing to do with money." So the real Seung says, "These are just things people say. People leave even their parents for money. If you also got a chance, you too would change your parents for money." So the real Tae-yoon says, "I would never do that, because I love my parents the most in the world." Hearing this, the real Seung is very surprised. Just then, Joo-hee comes running and gives Seung his phone. His sister tells on the phone that their dad has had an accident, and he is admitted to the hospital. Hearing this, the real Seung starts running towards the hospital. While running, he keeps remembering his childhood days, when he used to be very happy with his family. After reaching the hospital and seeing his dad's condition, he gets scared and keeps calling him repeatedly, "Dad, what happened to you?" Just then, Tae-yoon's dad arrives there and is very surprised to see his son calling someone else dad. Seeing him there, the real Seung is shocked. Then we see Nara, whose dad used to beat her a lot. She sees Yoojin, who was sick but very rich. Just then, that old woman gives her the golden spoon, with which she eats 3 meals at Yoojin's house. Then Yoojin and the real Yoojin become Nara. That is why Yoojin had died, because at Nara's house no one used to take care of her. In the next scene, we see that the president is told by his lawyer that a man from their demolition team has fallen and is admitted to the hospital. The lawyer advises that he should go meet him himself so that his image becomes better in front of the media. Just then, Seung arrives there with Joo-hee, and after seeing his dad's condition, starts getting even more scared. Then in private, Tae-yoon says to his dad that he found out about his accident, and because he worked for the Dosun group, he came to see him. After seeing his dad's lawyer at the hospital, Tae-yoon gets a little scared, thinking, maybe you also got hurt. That's why Dad came out of my mouth. His dad accepts the reason and says, "All right, it's okay, let's go home now." Tae-yoon says, "There are many reporters here. If I stay, Dosun's image will improve." While returning, the lawyer says to the president, Tae-yoon has completely changed. The president remembers his wife's words, who always used to say, "These days Tae-yoon has changed a lot." Meanwhile, in the hospital, Seung's dad extends his hand. Tae-yoon runs and asks, "Do you need something?" But he was extending his hand for his son Seung. Holding Seung's hand in his own, he says, "Sorry." As soon as he says this, a lot of blood starts coming out of his mouth, and he is quickly taken to the emergency room. Everyone gets very scared and is crying outside. Tae-yoon is completely shocked and runs away from there. While running, he keeps thinking, "All this is happening because of me. I left my family to become rich, that's why I'm being punished. But now I don't want the golden spoon. I only want my family. Nothing should happen to my dad." Then he runs to his room and finds his golden spoon. But before leaving, he fills his pocket with a lot of money because he knows he is going to become poor again. But then Juntae comes and says, "You're running away from here," and after seeing the spoon, starts mocking Tae-yoon. Tae-yoon says to him, "Let me go this time." But Juntae starts hitting Tae-yoon, so Tae-yoon also hits him and runs away from there, due to which the money also falls there. Then when he reaches there, no one is present. He had arrived late, and that woman had already left. In the next scene, we see Seung's sister, who has reached her house. Seeing someone there, she gets scared. It was Seung, who was eating her house's food. She asks, "What are you doing here?" But Seung ignores her and keeps eating quickly with his golden spoon. Then suddenly, Seung's sister says, "Why are you eating alone?" After hearing him talk for himself, she becomes emotional and starts crying. He comes to the hospital to see his dad. There, after seeing his mom, he goes near her. Hugging her, he starts crying loudly. He says that he missed both of them a lot. Just then, his dad regains consciousness. Then we see the earlier scene when Tae-yoon, meaning Seung, reaches the same place while searching for that old lady. That woman is not there, so he starts calling her loudly. Just then, that woman suddenly comes back and asks, "How did it feel to be rich for a month?" He says, "I want to go back to my old life." So that woman takes the golden spoon and does some magic on it. Then giving the spoon back, she says, "Before today ends, just go to your old home and eat 1 meal. Granny then says, "Now we will meet again after a year. That time you will get another chance to choose parents." He refuses and says, "I will never do this again," and leaves. The next morning, when the real Tae-yoon wakes up, he is still remembering his real mom. His memory was slowly being erased from his mind, but still in his heart, there was a feeling that he too had a mom. During breakfast, Yo's dad says to him, "I heard you bought an apartment?" Tae-yoon is confused at first, then remembers that matter in his memory and says, "Yes, I bought it." Tae-yoon's stepmom starts mocking Seung's and KY's family. Hearing this, Tae-yoon gets angry and shouts, You people don't even know their parents, so don't speak wrongly about them. Being poor is not a crime. Then he realizes that he shouted in front of his dad, so he gets nervous and says, sorry. His dad says, you're right. Being poor is not a crime, rather it is a disease, which is inherited from one generation to another. Meanwhile, at the hospital, Sung finds out that Joo-hee has left many fruits and a note. He runs outside and hugs Joo-hee, saying that he is very happy today. The scene changes and we see that Mr. Jong is told by his boss, by falling on my car, you caused complete damage and now you're resting here comfortably. Who will pay for the repair? He asks. How much is it costing for repair? The boss says, 100 million won? Everyone gets shocked. Seung is wearing Tae-yoon's watch. He goes to sell it, but the shopkeeper pushes him out. Seung tries to explain that it's an original watch, but the shopkeeper doesn't believe him. While that authentic watch is worth 250 million won. When Seung reaches the hospital, his mom is talking to someone on the phone. She doesn't realize he is there, and she was speaking on the phone very worriedly. You can't say 30 million now. You saw in my medical reports that my kidneys and liver are healthy. You will have to give 50 million, promise today. Hearing this, Seung takes the phone. From the other side, a man's voice comes, you have a kidney stone, so you'll get less money? From his words, Seung understands what is going on. Seung then gets very angry at his mom. Who were you talking to? How could you even think about selling your organs? His mom sadly says that there was no other option. The money wasn't getting arranged, so she thought of doing this. Seung says, you don't need to think about this now. You just wait. I'll fix everything. In the next scene, we see the president in his office. Seung reaches there to meet him. On the other side, we see Joo-hee, who was buttering up her dad. Her dad asks, do you need something? So she says, I need 100 million won. Her dad gets completely shocked hearing this. Meanwhile, Seung asks the president for 100 million won, so he laughs and refuses. He says, I need the money as a loan, I'll repay it all. So he says, money has a rule, no matter how much you have, you shouldn't give it to anyone. At this, Seung angrily starts speaking. My dad got injured at Dosun's construction site, and I'll repay all the money later even after that you're refusing. So he says, Dosun hired another company for demolition. Your dad was working for that company, not for Dosun. So Dosun is not responsible. Seung says, I wasted my time coming here, and leaves from there. Meanwhile, Joo-hee's dad also refuses to give her money, because he realizes that Joo-hee is asking for money to help Seung. So Joo-hee starts going to sell all her designer handbags, and says to her maid not to tell anything to her dad. Joo-hee, happily taking the money, was going to Seung. Then she sees him on the way. Before her, Yoo-jin arrives and offers money to Seung. He starts to say thank you, and says that he'll return all the money soon. Joo-hee is silently watching this. Seeing Joo-hee, Yoo-jin hugs Seung and says, okay, there's no need for thank you, we're friends, right? Seeing all this, Joo-hee was feeling very sad. Then the scene shifts and we see 1 year later, where Tae-yoon and all others were partying. In the next scene, we see Seung, who was studying along with doing a part-time job. Just then, he gets a call from Yoo-jin, and she calls him to pick her up. Joo-hee sees him and gets happy and asks how he is. Yoo-jin says to Joo-hee, I called him so that we can go home together. Seung quickly says, because we live in the same area. Then Yoo-jin starts to take him with her. Joo-hee just watches sadly. When Seung goes home, his sister opens the door. Then we come to know that he used to live at Yoo-jin's house with his family, and they used to do servant work at Yoo-jin's house. Seung goes inside and sees that his family's working, and Yoo-jin's dad is talking very rudely to everyone. Seeing this, he gets angry, which Yoo-jin also notices, and she gets angry at her dad. She says, don't behave badly with Seung and his family, at least not in front of Seung. Tae-yoon's stepmother was a pianist, so her new album had released. So Joo-hee had come to say congrats. Tae-yoon and Joo-hee's dads wanted to get them engaged. Tae-yoon's stepmom herself says, I'm against this because nowadays getting engaged at the parents' will is not right. Just then, Yoo-jin arrives, bringing lots of gifts which Seung was holding. She had also come to congratulate. Tae-yoon's stepmom offers her to come inside and then looks towards Seung. Seung goes outside. Outside, he meets Tae-yoon, who is surprised to see him at his house. Yoo-jin is bad-mouthing Seung, which Joo-hee cannot tolerate, so she starts getting angry at her. Just then, Seung comes inside and says that Yoo-jin is telling the truth. I live in her house because I took money from her. I lied because I was feeling embarrassed, because I like you, Joo-hee. Saying this, he goes outside and everyone gets shocked. Joo-hee runs after him. Then Tae-yoon says to Yoo-jin, because of your jealousy, everything is about to end. I will never forgive you. Meanwhile, Joo-hee comes to Seung and hugs him and says, I also like you. And not from today, but from the day I met you for the first time. Yoo-jin was burning with jealousy, seeing from afar. In the next scene, we see that Joo-hee goes to Yoo-jin's house to meet her. Her dad becomes very happy seeing Joo-hee, and since Yoo-jin is not home, he tells Joo-hee to wait in her room. Just then, Tae-yoon also comes there and says, I came to meet Sung. When Tae-yoon touches a hungry piggy bank, a golden spoon comes out of it. Seeing the spoon, both Tae-yoon and Joo-hee get shocked. On the other side, Sung goes to meet Yoo-jin. She talks to him about the golden spoon. Then, he understands that it was not Yoo-jin, but Nara. In the end, Yoo-jin accepts everything, that she did everything. She had sent the messages from her dad's burner phone. She asks Sung, will you ever use the golden spoon again? So Sung says, I will never use the golden spoon. I find happiness only by staying with my mom, dad, sister, and Joo-hee. Hearing this, Yoo-jin takes out the golden spoon from her pocket and says, then you don't need this. And saying this, she throws the spoon into the water, so Sung gets scared. Then Yoo-jin says, relax, that spoon was fake. I have kept the real spoon safe. On the other side, Tae-yoon and Joo-hee were shocked to see the golden spoon in Yoo-jin's room. Tae-yoon says, Sung also uses the same kind of spoon. On the other side, Sung asks Yoo-jin, why are you doing this? She says, I want you to become Tae-yoon and then marry me. That way, I will get Dosan group. Sung says, even if I become Tae-yoon, it's not necessary that I will marry you. So Yoo-jin says, you will not have any other option. In the next scene, Joo-hee's dad comes to Tae-yoon's dad to ask for help because his business was in loss. But the president doesn't help him, so Joo-hee's dad says, maybe you forgot what I did for Tae-yoon 6 years ago. Then he breaks Tae-yoon and Joo-hee's engagement and leaves. The next day, Seung is searching for the spoon in Yoo-jin's room. Just then, Yoo-jin comes there and says to him, I will give you the spoon, but you have to say that you love me, not Joo-hee. Then Seung says, you keep the spoon with you, and starts to leave from there. Just then, Yoo-jin says to him, you will surely come back to me very soon to take the spoon. Next day, Sung finds out about Joo-hee's dad's business crisis. Then he goes to meet Joo-hee and they spend the whole day together. Then they go to the crunch, so Joo-hee says, I feel very peaceful here. So Seung says, I know your family is in trouble right now, but I will always be with you. In the next scene, Yoo-jin's dad tells Seung's mom and dad to return the money, which makes them very worried. Seung is doing part-time jobs, but still, he doesn't have that much money, so he buys shares with that money. On the other side, Seung's mom requests Yoo-jin's dad to give her some time. He tells Seung's mom, I won't even take your money, and I'll also get you a house. But Seung's mom doesn't agree to this and says he will never do that. In the next scene, Tae-yoon searches for the incident that happened in the States, but he doesn't find any information. Then his driver tells him, the president had all the information removed. Only in your stepmother's room something could be found. Then Tae-yoon goes to search for that information, through which he finds out that there was a mass shooting in the school he studied at, and the suspect had committed suicide. But Tae-yoon remembers that someone had shot the suspect. The reporter's name was also there, so he tells the driver, contact him. The next day, Seung finds out that the Jin shares he had invested in have all gone down. Seung becomes very disappointed. His family had been thrown out of the house by Yoo-jin's dad. Yoo-jin was outside with her friends. Seung comes to her and asks her for the spoon. On the other side, Joo-hee's brother talks about selling her shares to Jun-tae. When Joo-hee's dad finds out that Joo-hee gave her shares to her brother, he gets angry with her. Because of this, Joo-hee leaves the house in anger. Just then, Tae-yoon had come to meet Joo-hee's dad because he found out that the reporter used to work under him. But now he is missing. He asks Joo-hee's dad about that reporter. Joo-hee's dad says, you still don't understand? In that incident, you were the one who killed those children. Hearing this, Tae-yoon becomes disturbed and starts to leave. Joo-hee's dad stops him, so he says, you hate my dad, that's why you are saying this. I can't kill anyone. Then he tells him something, after which Tae-yoon collapses and falls down. Then we see Joo-hee and Seung, who meet in the church. Both were disturbed. He says to Joo-hee, I wish, when I meet you again, you recognize me, and then kisses Joo-hee. Seung had found the spoon. Meanwhile, when Joo-hee comes home, it is very dark there. Then she sees there is a lot of blood on the floor, and her dad is lying down. She becomes very scared and starts to lift her dad, but he doesn't get up. Next day, when Tae-yoon wakes up, his dad is sitting in front of him. He says, I had a bad dream that Joo-hee's dad died. So dad says, strange thing is, Joo-hee's dad actually got murdered. Then Tae-yoon sees his hands and starts to panic, thinking maybe he murdered Joo-hee's dad. I went to meet him yesterday. His dad tells him, you didn't murder, and you didn't even go to meet him. You have to remember this. But Tae-yoon feels that he is the one who murdered. So he tries to commit suicide by jumping in front of a car. Just then, Yoo-jin comes and saves him. On the other side, Seung runs to Tae-yoon's house and starts eating food there. The driver catches him, but as soon as Seung turns back, he has turned into Tae-yoon. When Joo-hee's dad was being taken in the ambulance, she wanted to go with him, but her stepbrother pushes her aside and goes himself. The police arrive with their forensic team to investigate. During that time, a policeman deletes the footage of Tae-yoon coming to meet Joo-hee's dad, and he also clears all the evidence that could link him to that place. Tae-yoon's dad hugs him and says, "You don't remember anything because you don't need to remember. You just remember that you are my son, and I will do anything for you." Then Seung finds out that Tae-yoon came home drunk the previous night. He thinks to himself, what exactly had happened? Then he goes to his room and takes out his spoon and sees that the number printed is 3,650, meaning now he could use his spoon again only after 10 years. During the memorial, Joo-hee's stepbrothers start fighting among themselves over money because the eldest brother had secretly sold Joo-hee's shares. She tries to stop them, but her eldest brother raises his hand on her, but Tae-yoon stops him. Now Seung had become Tae-yoon, but his attitude was still like Seung. In the next scene, we see that Seung's sister gets promoted at her job, which makes her very happy. On the other side, the company had shown interest in his dad's comics and had also offered him a job. Both are happy with this news when Seung's mom's boss comes and offers them a loan of 10 million won, with which you could buy your own house. They all become very happy. They don't know, but all this is happening because of Tae-yoon. He was standing outside looking at his mom and dad and thinking, "You both wait for me. I'll come back and bring 100 billion won with me." On the other side, Juntae was saying, "I will very soon take over Joo-hee's dad's company." He was trying to impress the president. Just then, he receives a call and finds out that the fund manager has refused to give him money. On the other side, Yoo-jin slaps Tae-yoon and says, "Do you want to destroy my family? My dad is going crazy because of the tax inspection. At least think a little." Tae-yoon says, "After what your dad did to my mom and dad, you should be grateful." She says, "I saved the real Tae-yoon from taking his own life." Hearing this, Tae-yoon is a bit shocked, thinking, why was Tae-yoon going to do such a thing? In the next scene, we see Tae-yoon and his mom and dad coming happily to his mom's restaurant. Then they see that Yoo-jin's dad is standing in front of his mom with folded hands and saying, "We are sorry. I offered you money to live with me. Please forgive me." Hearing this, Tae-yoon and his dad become filled with anger and start beating him. Somehow he escapes and reaches his car and tells the driver, "Drive away from here." But Tae-yoon reaches there, removes the driver, sits in the car himself, and starts driving. Meanwhile, Tae-yoon had come for dinner with his dad. Just then, he receives a message. After seeing the message, Tae-yoon leaves from there and tells his driver, "Track Yoo-jin's dad." Seung was extremely angry and was driving the car very fast. Tae-yoon's driver stops his car in front of his. When the car stops, Yoo-jin's dad starts shouting, "Seung kidnapped me. He wanted to kill me." So Tae-yoon says, "You will not say anything like that," and says, "Listen to me carefully. You didn't meet Seung, nor his dad, you weren't kidnapped, and you weren't beaten up." Tae-yoon threatens him with the name of the tax inspection. Right now, it was just a tax inspection. Much more can happen ahead. Even this will be something to learn about. On the other side, Juntae gets some information about the murder of Joo-hee's dad. When Tae-yoon comes home, he tells him, "I heard that Joo-hee's dad was murdered." Then we find out that the idea of Yoo-jin's dad going to apologize and getting beaten up was Yoo-jin's. She knew that Tae-yoon, meaning the real Seung, would get involved, and in this way, they could save her dad's company. When Joo-hee reaches home, she feels like someone else is also there. She ignores it and goes inside, but when she is closing the door, someone's hand comes in and stops the door. She looks in fear to see who it is, and it is Seung. The real Seung is thinking about what relation there could be between Tae-yoon being drunk and Joo-hee's dad's death. Just then, the police arrive and start taking Seung, meaning Tae-yoon, away on murder charges. Seung gets tense and starts panicking. Tae-yoon asks, "Where are you taking me?" But those people don't answer. He notices a snake tattoo on one policeman's neck. Then he understands that they are not policemen. He tries to stop the car, so they make him unconscious. Meanwhile, Seung had come to Joo-hee's house. He was behaving a little weird and takes out a taser from his pocket. Seeing the taser, Joo-hee gets a bit scared, but Seung gives the taser to Joo-hee saying, "You live alone in such a big house, so I worry about you." The police take Tae-yoon to Juntae at a party. Tae-yoon was about to leave the party early, so Juntae stops him and offers a drink. He says, "Have a drink with me. After that you can leave." He had actually mixed something in the drink. After drinking it, Tae-yoon, meaning Seung, gets extremely intoxicated. Juntae asks him, "You killed Joo-hee's dad, didn't you?" So Tae-yoon says, "I didn't do anything like that. In fact, I'm not Tae-yoon, I'm Seung." Juntae feels very strange hearing this. In the next scene, we see Yoo-jin. She meets the president and tells him it was Juntae who kidnapped Tae-yoon and called him to the party and even mixed drugs in his drinks. She says, "You shouldn't marry Joo-hee. You should marry me instead. I will always protect him." On the other side, when the president reaches home, he is very angry. He goes straight inside, picks up a stick, and starts beating Juntae. He says, "Why did you handcuff Tae-yoon and make me treat him like a murderer?" His wife comes in between and stops him. Then she says, "My brother does so much for you, and you behave like this with him." The president says, "I know you and your brother want to remove Tae-yoon and make yourselves my successor, And remember this, the successor will only be my son, not your brother. Ju Hee's house was about to be auctioned, so she goes to a hotel. There, she takes the cheapest room. She opens her bag in the room and sees that there were 500 million won in it. Then she remembers that her brother had given this money as a settlement and said, now there will be no relationship between us. Taeyoon's stepmother finds out from her housekeeper that the maid who was asked to burn Taeyoon's clothes didn't burn his coat, but was trying to sell it. Meanwhile, Ju Hee, after getting repeated calls from Taeyoon, comes to meet him. He asks, how are you? Then starts explaining, you should stop liking Seung. He is not the one you liked. Ju Hee doesn't like what he says, so she gets up and leaves. So Taeyoon runs after her and says, sorry, now I won't say anything that makes you feel uncomfortable. We'll only be friends. After leaving, Ju Hee gets a call from her old housekeeper. She tells her, on the day of the president's death, someone had come to meet me. If you want to know their name, bring the money you have to me. There are 500 million won in Ju Hee's suitcase. Ju Hee is ready to give all her money in exchange for the information. Yoo-jin also sees her in the hotel. After hearing everything Ju Hee said, Yoo-jin calls Taeyoon and tells him, stop Ju Hee from meeting the maid because the maid had seen me that day. Hearing this, Taeyoon rushes out and goes to the place where Ju Hee had gone to meet the maid. When the maid arrives, she calls Ju Hee and starts walking towards her while talking on the phone, but suddenly a truck comes and knocks her down. The maid dies on the spot. Taeyoon witnesses this and quietly starts running away. Seeing so much blood, the real Taeyoon starts having a panic attack and collapses there. Ju Hee somehow calms him, but in the chaos, Ju Hee's bag full of money goes missing. On the other side, Taeyoon's stepmother calls Juntae and tells him that there were bloodstains on Taeyoon's coat, which she had sent for a DNA test. In the next scene, we see the president. It was by his order that the maid was killed. Just then, Juntae arrives and shows the DNA report, which makes it clear that the blood on Taeyoon's jacket was indeed Ju Hee's dad's. The president asks Juntae what he wants. He says, I want all of Taeyoon's property in my name, and I want Taeyoon to always send the status. Then, Juntae takes Taeyoon with him. Arjun starts beating him with the stick just like the president had done. While being beaten, he says, someone like you, a murderer, deserves this. Taeyoon screams, I didn't commit the murder. To which Juntae replies, someone else may believe you, but I know you also killed those people in the status, and your dad used money to cover everything up. Juntae then says, well, let me remind you, and starts punching him. In a flashback, we see little Taeyoon entering the washroom, where gunshots are heard. And in reality, Juntae had killed everyone in front of him. Taeyoon was terrified, and Juntae had made him hold the gun, making him believe that he had killed everyone. Meanwhile, we see Ju Hee leaving the hotel with the money. Just then, she meets Yoo-jin, who has a suitcase just like hers. Ju Hee asks her about the suitcase and Yoo-jin says, it's my suitcase. But Ju Hee keeps insisting that it is her suitcase. So, Yoo-jin opens her suitcase right there and shows Ju Hee that it contains her own belongings. Seeing this, Ju Hee gets a bit embarrassed and apologizes. Then, Yoo-jin says, you need money, right? Then take it from me, and offers the money. Ju Hee hesitates but extends her hand to take the money. However, Yoo-jin pulls the money back and says, now my mind has changed. Then she says, you got everything so easily, now you should experience poverty. Meanwhile, Taeyoon reaches his dad and shouts, I didn't commit the murder. Please don't send the status. The president scolds him and says, because of you, I've spent so much money. You will go to the status, and this will be your last chance. Only come back once you are worthy of earning this money. Sung comes into his room and thinks, so that means I didn't commit the murder? He is very worried that Taeyoon is living with his family, and he can't even warn his parents. Then he starts looking at all the paper clips from the school shooting. In the school's brochure, he sees a photo of Juntae, from which he realizes that Juntae was with him and Taeyoon at status. Seeing Taeyoon leave reminds Ju Hee that she had seen him at the time of the maid's accident too. And why is he suddenly leaving like he's running away? Ju Hee realizes that it must have been Taeyoon who murdered her dad. Ju Hee stops him and yells, why did you do this? Why did you kill my dad? Taeyoon confesses, but she doesn't believe him. People start grabbing Ju Hee, and then Taeyoon manages to escape. 10 years had passed, and now there were only 30 days left to use the golden spoon. Then we see Taeyoon, who was very well dressed and was going somewhere. On the way, he sees a man sleeping on a bench, who looks homeless. He feels a bit bad and wakes the man up, and that man is none other than the real Taeyoon. In the next scene, 10 years later is shown. Yoo-jin had started a beauty products company through which she had become quite successful. On the other hand, we see Ju Hee, who is now a journalist. Someone tells her that it's heard Taeyoon has come back, and in status, he got engaged to Yoo-jin. Hearing this, Joo-hee thinks for a moment, then says, "Right now, we should focus on the gambler party." Then we see Joo-hee was undercover at the party, disguised as a waitress. Seung was also working as a security guard for that party. Then Tae-yoon enters the party. He had completely changed and had started living like a playboy. When Yoo-jin finds out that Tae-yoon is at the party, she also comes and sees that Tae-yoon was flirting with some random girl and was about to kiss her. Yoo-jin pulls him back and stops him. Then we see Joo-hee, who was searching with her colleague where the gambling was happening. Joo-hee gets an idea, so she goes there with the excuse of serving drinks, where everyone was gambling. Joo-hee had taken a spy camera with her, in which she records everything. As soon as she comes out, she sees that Seung had been caught and the guards were taking him away. Joo-hee quickly starts to leave from there, but Park is coming from the front. He recognizes Joo-hee, so she doesn't know where to go. Just then, someone pulls her inside. It is Tae-yoon. Joo-hee is very surprised to see him. He says, "I heard that you've been looking for me for quite some time. If this is related to your dad's death, then let me make it clear. I didn't kill your dad. What would I even gain by killing him?" Joo-hee is not convinced by what he says. In the next scene, Tae-yoon goes to his dad, who asks, "Why did you come back?" He says, "I was very bored, so I came back." The president says, "I overestimated you. You're not worthy of this. Leave." Tae-yoon says, "I have some things to take care of, and I will leave only after doing them." Now in the present, Seung is coming out after a job interview and is thinking that he should have accepted Alex's offer. Then one of his friends tells him something about someone. After the phone call, he goes to the same road where Tae-yoon was sleeping on a bench. Seung wakes him up and Tae-yoon becomes happy to see Seung there. Here we see Tae-yoon, whose body had many injury marks. He remembers when he was badly injured and lying in the hospital. At that time, he gave his golden spoon to Yoo-jin in exchange for help. The next day, the news shows that Tae-yoon uses drugs. Because of this news, Doshin Group's stock prices fall. Then we see Tae-yoon, who is on the phone with someone, saying, "Start buying now." Over there, the president is angry and thinking about what to do next. He feels that Jun Tae has had the news published against Tae-yoon. Just then, his man comes and informs him that someone is buying Doshin High-Tech shares in bulk. Doshin High-Tech is the same company that is under Jun Tae. The president then remembers what Tae-yoon had said. "Wait for a week, you'll understand what I'm about to do." He understands that all of this is Tae-yoon's doing. Then he starts laughing loudly and says to his man, "There's no need for any emergency meeting." The next scene shows a board meeting going on at Doshin High-Tech, where someone has suggested that CEO Jun Tae should be dismissed. Just then, Tae-yoon enters the office, and now he was back in his old form, completely confident. When Tae-yoon walks into the conference room, everyone is shocked to see him. Tae-yoon talks about several incidents and also shows proof where Jun Tae committed fraud and had hidden a lot of illegal money. Jun Tae stands up to defend himself and says, "Only directors have the right to speak in this meeting, which you are not." Just then, on behalf of the president, a director introduces Tae-yoon as the CEO of Most Lab and nominates him as the new CEO of Doshin. Everyone sitting there is shocked, including Jun Tae. The president says, "Before being my son, you're the CEO of Most Lab, and that's why you are fully qualified to become the CEO of Doshin as well." Jun Tae angrily says to Tae-yoon, "Even if you become CEO, you won't last long without shares." Tae-yoon says, "Didn't you hear? I've sold Most Lab and bought Doshin High-Tech shares with all that money." Then Tae-yoon says to Jun Tae, "Uncle, you're finished now." Then he goes outside and calls Joo-hee and invites her to meet him. Just then, Joo-hee comes running and says that she wants to interview Tae-yoon. Actually, Jun Tae had told her that Tae-yoon had murdered President Na. His blood was found on Tae-yoon's jacket. Meanwhile, Seung is looking through his old belongings when he finds a notebook in which the real Seung had written everything about the golden spoon and the granny. It was also written that if you eat food at someone's house 3 times with the spoon, the parents switch. And in it, the names of Seung and Tae-yoon were also written. In the next scene, Joo-hee goes to Tae-yoon's house and requests his stepmom to convince him to give an interview. But on the way back, Joo-hee uses the excuse of going to the bathroom and goes into Tae-yoon's room. There, she starts searching for evidence that could prove he murdered her dad. She finds Tae-yoon's locker, which was password protected. Tae-yoon had joined Doshin High-Tech as the new CEO. We see Tae-yoon and Yoo-jin's families having dinner together. They are discussing after the couple's marriage, so Tae-yoon's stepmom says, "I don't know why Tae-yoon wants to marry Yoo-jin. You people aren't even on our level." Then Tae-yoon defends Yoo-jin and says, "In the last 10 years, Yoo-jin has given me a lot of help and support, and there can't be a bigger reason than that for marriage." Yoo-jin is very happy with what he says and later expresses her happiness. this. Then Tae-yoon says, "We are good business partners, nothing more than that." Tae-yoon had promised to help, and he fulfilled that, so I must fulfill my promise too. Yoo-jin later remembers what Tae-yoon said and thinks about how we should behave. She didn't know the last rule of the golden spoon. She remembers the day, a few years ago, when she had gone to the granny and said, "I want to stay Yoo-jin forever." So the granny told her the last rule of the golden spoon, that if someone eats using your golden spoon, they get all the team memories of its owner. That's why it's very important to keep this spoon safe. In the next scene, Tae-yoon goes to Joo-hee and says that he is ready to give the interview. He is asked that he had refused earlier, so why did he change his mind? So he says that Joo-hee is working so hard to take his interview, so he also wants to know what exactly Joo-hee wants to ask him. When Tae-yoon meets Joon-tae, he says, "Don't forget that you are a murderer." So Tae-yoon says, "I'm not the murderer, you are. 16 years ago, the culprit of the school shooting incident was not me, it was you." When he talks about the proofs, Tae-yoon says that he remembers everything now, that he was wearing a smile shirt and shot the children. In the next scene, the president's wife comes to the office and threatens him, saying, "If you don't want me to collect all my shares and block your every path, then give my Joon-tae one more chance." So the president says, "Should I then consider him not your brother but my son?" Hearing this, the color drains from the president's wife's face, and we understand that she is scared. In the next scene, Yoo-jin finds out that Tae-yoon is going to give an interview to Joo-hee. Hearing this, Yoo-jin angrily goes to Joo-hee's office and grabs her hair and starts shouting, "I told you to stay away from Tae-yoon, didn't you understand?" But Joo-hee removes her hand and pins her to the wall and says, "I'm not the old Joo-hee anymore. You can't even imagine what difficulties I faced in the last 10 years, and I have no interest in you. I'm just doing my job." In the next scene, Joo-hee takes Tae-yoon to dinner to discuss the interview. She tries to explain to him to stop investigating her dad's murder, but Joo-hee is completely sure that Tae-yoon is the one who murdered her dad. She warns him that she will definitely bring out his truth in front of everyone. Joo-hee comes home, and Sung is waiting for her. He confesses his feelings to her, saying, "I never stopped liking you." Joo-hee was about to reject him, but Sung says, "Think properly and then tell me." The next day, Tae-yoon comes to the office, and Yoo-jin is waiting for him. She tells him to cancel the interview, but Tae-yoon refuses. Then Yoo-jin says, "If you don't cancel it, remember, I have your golden spoon. I'll do something that you'll regret." Is he going to join? Sung refuses. Tae-yoon's stepmom comes and requests her husband, "Don't tell Joon-tae that I'm his mom." So he says, "I wasn't even thinking about telling him." She says, "Don't you want to know who his father is?" So he says, "I'm not interested." In the next scene, we see that Joo-hee had convinced Tae-yoon to do the interview from his house. During the interview setup, when Joo-hee's boss is talking to Tae-yoon, Joo-hee takes the opportunity and goes into his room. Meanwhile, Yoo-jin is told by Park by sending Tae-yoon's pictures that he is giving the interview. So she thinks, "You didn't listen to me, right? Now just watch." On the other side, Sung looks at the drawing book and thinks, "Now my dream isn't drawing, I want to become rich, like Tae-yoon." Just then, he gets a call from Yoo-jin. Meanwhile, Joo-hee opens Tae-yoon's locker. In it, there are many papers and articles related to her dad, and she starts looking at them. Then her eyes fall on a gift that she had given to Sung. Just then, Tae-yoon comes there and says, "What are you doing in my room?" Joo-hee says, "First you tell me, where did you get this book from?" "I had gifted this to Sung." On the other side, Sung goes to meet Yoo-jin, who had already ordered food. She gives him the real Tae-yoon's golden spoon and says, "Start eating." When he eats with that spoon, the owner's old memories start coming into his mind. On the other side, Tae-yoon says to Joo-hee that when they were in high school, he found this book in class, and at that time he had a crush on Joo-hee, so he took the book. Over there, Sung, that is, the real Tae-yoon, is just about to eat with the golden spoon when Yoo-jin starts taking a lot of selfies and says that she wants to make them feel jealous because Joo-hee and Tae-yoon are getting close. At this, Seong gets irritated and says, "He's your fiancé, so you handle him. Don't involve Joo-hee," and he leaves without eating. After he leaves, Yoo-jin takes the golden spoon back and keeps it. On the other side, Joo-hee tells Tae-yoon about the camera, that it had searched her room, and she says that she can do anything to bring out the truth about her dad's death. Joo-hee then asks, "Why are you following my dad's case?" So Tae-yoon says, "You won't believe it, but I'm also trying to find the real culprit." Hearing this, Joo-hee is quite shocked. Just then, Tae-yoon gets a message from Yoo-jin. She had sent a photo of the real Tae-yoon with the golden spoon and written, "Do you want to know about the last rule of the golden spoon?" Seeing this, Tae-yoon panics, quickly locks everything in his locker, and goes to Yoo-jin and asks her about the last rule. She tells him, "If someone eats with your golden spoon, then they'll get all your memories, like who you are, that your parents were exchanged, and everything." Hearing this, Tae-yoon gets scared. So Yoo-jin says, "Don't stress, this time I was just warning you. But if you don't stop meeting Joo-hee, then I can do anything." Hearing this, Tae-yoon gets angry and says, "If you do anything like that, you'll lose everything." "Me? Dosun, and even your life. Yoo-jin also angrily says, as long as I have the golden spoon, you can't do anything. In the next scene, the real Tae-yoon remembers that he also had a golden spoon, but he doesn't remember where it went. Then he finds the golden spoon. Even after reaching home, he's reading that same notebook. He thinks, if what's written in this is true, then I could be Tae-yoon. And if I'm Tae-yoon, then did I kill President Nae? Just then, he gets a call from someone at Dosun's president's office. Tae-yoon, Joo-hee, and Sung, together, tell them everything about Jun-tae, that he had framed him in the school shooting incident and is still framing him. They show the last call in the call records and say that this burner phone number belongs to Jun-tae. He was completely suspicious that Jun-tae was the last person who met Joo-hee's dad. On the other side, we see Yoo-jin's dad, who has gone to a tantric-type woman near a park to get a wedding date for Yoo-jin. That woman starts shouting and says, the spirits told me that you don't have a daughter. Your daughter died more than 10 years ago. Later, Joo-hee was watching footage and she hadn't found anything yet. But in one scene, she sees Jun-tae near the house on the day of the incident. Joo-hee goes to the police station with Seung to request the start of a reinvestigation. Meanwhile, Seung was sitting with his friends. During a conversation, they remember how well Tae-yoon played the piano on his birthday. So he thinks that he knows how to play the piano, even though he never learned it. Then he remembers some other such past incidents which were very strange. Then he takes out the same notebook from his bag and starts reading it, in which things about the golden spoon were written. And he thinks, is all this really true? The next scene shows the police station where Jun-tae was arrested after he surrendered, and a crowd of reporters was also there. Then we see Joo-hee, who had come to the church and, while looking at her dad's photo, was thinking that finally, her dad got justice. Just then, Tae-yoon also arrives there. They both step outside and talk, and Joo-hee apologizes to Tae-yoon for suspecting him for so many years, and they become friends again. On the other side, we see Sung, who is still reading that notebook. When he gets the food, he takes out his golden spoon and starts eating quickly. During the conversation, Park tells Yoo-jin, your dad was so shocked after meeting the tantric, because the tantric had said, you've been dead for more than 10 years. Tae-yoon had gone to the same church where Joo-hee used to go, so he hears a strange sound. Then suddenly, a girl comes out from under the benches. Tae-yoon screams loudly in fear, but actually, it was Joo-hee, who was completely drunk. He brings her home. At home, Joo-hee starts talking about Seung and says that earlier she had a huge crush on Seung, but now it feels like he's someone else. He is a good person, but not like before. Saying all this, she falls asleep. So Tae-yoon puts her to bed and leaves. Tae-yoon orders all the staff in his house that no one will allow Sung to enter the house. And forget food. He won't even be given water. Tae-yoon meets Joo-hee to return her phone which was left with him. Joo-hee asks him, what were you really doing there? That place is far from your house? So Tae-yoon lies and says, you called me in your drunken state and asked me to come. He says, yesterday you were talking about Seung while drunk, but you should know that he's not the same anymore. Now he only cares about money. Hearing this, Joo-hee starts to leave angrily, then comes back and says, Seung doesn't chase money, you do. I know you're going to give that interview just to increase Doshin High-Tech's share prices. Tae-yoon comes and finds out that Seung has already eaten at his house twice. Knowing this, he gets very worried and starts calling, but the call kept getting cut. So Tae-yoon goes to meet him at his house. Seung's mom was cooking dinner at that time and offers some to Tae-yoon too. Tae-yoon remembers the old days because this dish used to be his favorite. Just then, Seung arrives, and Tae-yoon invites him to have lunch at his house. In the next scene, Joo-hee's colleague had caught that crazy woman who had Joo-hee's bag. She checks her bag and finds that the money wasn't there. She says, I'm the real Jang. Hearing this, Joo-hee's colleague says, stop lying. If the real Miss Jang finds out, you'll be arrested. Then that woman starts shouting, how many times should I say it? I'm the real Jang. The one who took my identity was just my housekeeping, and it all happened because of the golden spoon. Hearing this, Joo-hee starts asking her about the golden spoon. That homeless woman becomes excited and starts saying, you know about the golden spoon? Have you met the golden spoon, Granny? Then the scene shifts, and we see Tae-yoon at his home, where Seung arrives on his invitation. Tae-yoon asks, you brought your golden spoon, right? Seung answers yes. Both sit at the dining table. Tae-yoon tries to emotionally blackmail him a little and says, remember, if you eat with this spoon, it means you are betraying your family. Then Seung, meaning the real Tae-yoon, says, that's what you did, I just want to go back to my rightful place. So Tae-yoon says, fine then, eat. Saying this, Tae-yoon starts laughing, because when he had gone to Seung's house, he had found his golden spoon and replaced it with another spoon. Seung didn't know about this. He brings the spoon near his mouth but can't eat and starts to leave. Tae-yoon hadn't expected such a response. He runs after him and asks, why are you leaving? Go back and eat the food and become Tae-yoon. But Seung doesn't eat the food. He says, I don't want to lose the world's best parents by doing this. Tae-yoon was sitting and drinking when Yoo-jin comes to him. Tae-yoon says that he lost to Seung because he didn't choose money and chose his parents instead. Yoo-jin comforts him, and then the two kiss. They reach a hotel room, but Tae-yoon realizes that this is not right, so he says sorry and leaves. Meanwhile, Joo-hee keeps thinking about that homeless woman who had said that parents can be changed with the golden spoon. Is it possible that Tae-yoon is actually the real Seung? Joo-hee, when she reaches home, finds Tae-yoon waiting for her. He hugs her. Joo-hee asks, "You're Seung, right?" Somehow Tae-yoon says, "I'm Tae-yoon," and leaves from there. The next day was the birthday of both Tae-yoon and Seung. Tae-yoon was looking for his dad to talk about something. Then he sees Seung, who had come to deliver food from his parents' store. Then they remember the granny's words. If someone meets their real parents on their birthday, their life will switch back. Tae-yoon starts to take Seung away from there, but just then the president arrives. The president meets Seung and leaves, but their lives do not switch. Tae-yoon thinks everything is fine, meaning the granny's words turned out to be false. Just then, Seung's dad also arrives. He extends his hand toward Tae-yoon, the real Seung, and says, "Here, Seung, hold this." Tae-yoon, who was the real Seung, had now become Seung again, and Seung, who was the real Tae-yoon, had now become Tae-yoon. Tae-yoon couldn't understand anything and was just standing there confused, but Seung takes the opportunity to swap phones with Tae-yoon and says, "Dad, when we talk about the company's physical division, it'll be better for you to just agree with them." Seung comes outside with his dad, and his dad says that earlier he was wearing different clothes. Seung denies it, then says that he has to go somewhere and runs from there because they were going to divide the company physically. Tae-yoon says that he is also the CEO, so he can make decisions about his own company. Seeing him talk like this, his dad becomes very surprised. Seung runs to the same spot where Granny used to sit, but she wasn't there. From the other side, his mom arrives, who was busy preparing something special for his birthday. Seeing this, Seung starts getting angry. "I don't deserve all this. You do so much for me." On the other side, we see Joo-hee, who had come to celebrate Seung's birthday at his home. His dad meets her at the door. The password he enters to unlock the door shocks Joo-hee because it was the same password Tae-yoon had used on his locker. Meanwhile, after 10 years, the real Seung was celebrating his birthday with his family. He sees that nothing has changed, so he wanted to become Tae-yoon again. Just then, he gets a call from Yoo-jin, who had found out that he had become the real Seung. Tae-yoon tells Yoo-jin, "When Tae-yoon's dad came, our lives didn't switch, which means he is not Tae-yoon's real dad." The real Tae-yoon returns to his office. Then his head starts hurting again, and he remembers that his head had hit a table. The president's wife goes to meet Jun Tae, and he tells her, surrendering was the president's idea. When the president had met him, he had said that he didn't kill Joo-hee's dad. The president says, "I know you didn't kill him, but in the status incident, you were the one who killed everyone and framed my son." He shows a gun, which Jun Tae had used in the status incident. His fingerprints were still on it. The president says that he should surrender for Joo-hee's dad's murder. He will get him bail soon due to lack of evidence. Otherwise, he will get him arrested for that. The real Seung was still thinking about how he could become Tae-yoon again. Just then, Joo-hee picks him up and takes him to the seaside, where they take some photos. Joo-hee mentions a place name and asks, "Do you remember when we went there how much fun we had?" Tae-yoon didn't actually remember it, because back then he was Tae-yoon, but he says, "Yeah, I remember." Seung didn't know, but Joo-hee was testing him, because that morning when she had gone to Tae-yoon's office, she had overheard Yoo-jin on the phone saying, "Are you going to stay Seung for the rest of your life? Don't you want to become Tae-yoon again?" Joo-hee behaves normally and doesn't show it, and both enjoy themselves a lot in between. Tae-yoon finds out from Joo-hee's colleague that Joo-hee had gone to the beach with Seung. Knowing this, he doesn't feel good. He calls Yoo-jin. "I want to go there, but I remember I'm engaged to you, so I called to tell you that I can't marry you." Meanwhile, Joo-hee and Seung were still at the beach. Joo-hee says, "I lied that we had gone to that place before, and I came to the beach only because I wanted to come with you." Hearing Joo-hee say this, Seung realizes that she knows everything, and he starts saying, "What are you talking about?" Before Joo-hee could finish speaking, he starts to leave. But after a while, he comes back and starts yelling, "When you knew everything, then why did you bring me here? Yeah, I'm Seung, who left his parents and you to become Tae-yoon, so why aren't you angry? Why are you blaming me?" Joo-hee hugs him and says, "I missed you a lot. I'm just happy that I got to meet you again." Then Tae-yoon kisses her. Joo-hee had come to drop Seung home. She tells him, "Even when you were Tae-yoon, I used to feel like you were Seung." The two talk for a while and kiss. Yoo-jin is watching this from a distance. Seung's dad comes out of the store. Then he meets Yoo-jin and she says, "I want to treat you." Tae-yoon is sitting at home drinking wine. Suddenly, the wine, Byun, lay falls from his hand. Seeing the wine flow reminds him of Joo-hee's dad's blood, and he runs outside and goes to the driver. He tells him, "I've remembered everything, even that in the school shooting that day. Jun-tae killed everyone." Tae-yoon recalls and tells that when he had gone to meet Joo-hee's dad, he had said, "You killed everyone in the shooting incident." He was about to leave angrily at this, but then he said, "Your dad has a very big secret. Don't you want to know?" Tae-yoon walked out without listening. Then he thought for a moment and went back. He found him lying there and his blood was flowing everywhere. Seeing his condition, Tae-yoon started having panic attacks. Then he had seen that his dad was also there. After remembering this, Tae-yoon says to the driver, "You'll have to do something for me." On the other side, the president had come to the museum and was walking around looking at things. He arrives at the place where the golden spoon was kept. In a flashback, we see that when the president was young, he had met Granny and bought the golden spoon from her. This means the President Wen isn't the real President Wen at all. In the next scene, we see a boy who had come to an event. This boy's name was Johan. Then another boy arrives, and everyone's attention goes to him. This boy was none other than Mr. Wen. Johan's dad used to work for the Doshin group, and that day was the first time he met Wen, who was the future leader of the Doshin group. Then a girl arrives whose name was Mei-on. She was very pretty. Johan is stunned after seeing her. Johan is watching Yando and Mai from a distance, and then a little girl comes and tells him those two are engaged. This girl was Yang Xin, who is now Mr. Wen's wife. Johan goes and offers, "Let me take a photo of you two." And then they are shown spending time like that. Then a lot of time passes. Wen and Mei-on get married, and after some time they have a baby. At that time, we can see that Johan, who had been taking their photos for so many years, is none other than the present-day President Wen. Johan used to work for Wen and was stopping him from going to the auction because some contract had to be finalized. Johan keeps insisting, so Wen says, "What do you think? I don't understand? You want to use me to run the Doshin group your way." There is a bit of an argument between them, and Wen fires Johan from the job. He says, "I'm sick of people like you who are money-minded." Hearing this, Johan says, "Fine. If you want to fire me, then do it. But we've been friends for so many years. At least have one meal with me." Wen agrees and walks away from there. After Wen leaves, Johan takes out the golden spoon from his pocket and looks at it. Then the scene shifts, and we see Johan, that is, President Wen, who looks at the golden spoon and says to himself, "Wen, in the end, you lost to me." In the next scene, the real Sung tells everything to the real Tae-yoon, and the two come out talking. The real Tae-yoon is also surprised that the president is not his real dad. In the next scene, we see Sung's dad, who was sitting alone at home drinking. Actually, when he met Yoo-jin, she had told him everything about the golden spoon. He had started shouting at that time and couldn't believe it. So Yoo-jin gave him the golden spoon and said, "Do you want to know what all your son Seung has done?" He takes out the golden spoon from his pocket and looks at it. Then Seung comes there. The two talk to each other for a while, and then Seung goes to his room. Seung's dad eats with the golden spoon, and all the old memories come to him about how Seung used the spoon to change his parents and everything that has happened in his life until now. After all these memories return, he starts crying a lot, saying, "Seung, what have you done?" In the next scene, the president takes Tae-yoon to the Blue House and announces that Tae-yoon will become his successor. Tae-yoon is very happy about this. In the next scene, Joo-hee meets Seung and says, "I know that you're Tae-yoon." Then the real Tae-yoon says, "I don't remember anything about my life as Tae-yoon." He starts asking Joo-hee about his mom. She tells him, "Your mom was very beautiful and very nice, and you used to miss her a lot." Tae-yoon comes to meet Johan at his office. In the next scene, we see Joo-hee, who was in a very emotional mood because of Jun-tae. When the president comes home, she starts asking, "You didn't want a child, nor did you love me. Then why did you marry me?" The president says, "She looked a bit like Mei-on. That's why I married you." She yells, "I've met many wrong people in my life, but the worst were Johan and you." Tae-yoon says to the driver, "I was collecting all the information about everything that had happened in the president's life until now." So he says, "Even on my birthday, I had told you to find out where the president was on the day of Joo-hee's dad's death." Seung returns home with his family from somewhere, and Tae-yoon was waiting for them with a gift. Seung's dad yells and drives him away, saying, "I came to listen to your dad, but now I don't want to do anything like that. Go away from here and never show your face again." When everyone asks, he says, "This boy is very selfish. He doesn't care about his parents either." Then the real Tae-yoon explains to Seung that you shouldn't come here like this without informing. In the next scene, Joo-hee comes home, and Tae-yoon, that is the real Seung, was waiting for her. Joo-hee hugs him. Then inside, they were sitting together looking at Joo-hee's old album, and in all the photos was the real Tae-yoon. Seeing this, the real Seung feels a bit sad. Joo-hee says, "You still have one chance left to meet Granny. So what are you going to decide?" Joo-hee then says, "I want you to live as Seung, not Tae-yoon." But Tae-yoon didn't want to become Seung again. First, he says, I have many dreams, which I can fulfill only by being Tae-yoon. Yes, Quarrel? Then, after Joo-hee keeps insisting, he accepts and says, the main reason is money, and leaves from there. In the next scene, we see Joon-tae goes to the hospital due to a health issue, and then escapes from there. He says he wants to help the president, but he refuses and says, I've made Tae-yoon my successor. Hearing this, Joon-tae becomes very angry. In the next scene, Tae-yoon comes to meet Sung's dad after being called by him. Sung's dad apologizes for shouting last time and then expresses a lot of happiness. Tae-yoon, you've become the successor of Doshin Group. And he says, it's a matter of great joy that my son's friend belongs to Korea's richest family. He says, do you know, Sung wanted to become a poet when he grew up? Then he takes out a poem and reads it, which he had written in childhood. This poem was very sweet. He gives this poem to Tae-yoon and says, when you become a very big businessman, Tae-yoon, still always keep love in your heart. Just then, Tae-yoon gets a call from Joon-tae. He goes outside to talk, but Joon-tae was right behind him and hits him on the head with a bune, LA, and he says, what did your dad think? That he'd frame me for murder? Tae-yoon is a little surprised to hear this because Joon-tae had surrendered. Joon-tae had a knife and he moves forward to stab Tae-yoon. Sung's dad comes in between and saves him, and the knife hits his stomach. While dying, he says, Sung, I don't care what your name is. I will always love you a lot because you are my son. Saying this, he breathes his last. The real Sung was in shock, wondering what had just happened. Then he starts crying loudly, calling out to his dad. In the next scene, Sung and his family come to the hospital. Just then, the doctor comes and says that Sung's dad has passed away. Hearing this, everyone is shocked and then starts crying loudly. Sung grabs Tae-yoon's collar and starts asking, you must know who did all this? Who killed dad? Somehow the real Sung tells his name and then runs away from there. Joon-tae was blaming the president for his situation and takes a knife to go kill him in his office. Tae-yoon is waiting for him there and starts beating Joon-tae, saying, why did you kill my dad? He says, what are you saying? Have you gone crazy? The two start fighting. Just then, the president arrives and orders his men to forcefully send Tae-yoon to his room and lock it from the outside. Joon-tae was thinking that the president was going to kill him, but he laughs, removes the gun, and says that he's not going to kill him. Joon-tae sees the opportunity, grabs the gun, and points it at the president, saying, my sister told me never to trust you. Till today, like a fool, I did everything you said. So the president says, shall I tell you something? She's not your sister, but your real mother. Hearing this, Joon-tae is left shocked. In that same state, he reaches there with the gun and asks his sister, are you my mom? Young-shin says nothing, so Joon-tae yells again and asks, are you my mom? Then Young-shin slaps him and says, get a hold of yourself. I'm your sister, not your mom. Joon-tae points the gun at her face and says, I don't trust you anymore. In the flashback, we see that when Joon-tae was very young, he went abroad to study. Young-shin had promised him that she would come to visit him. In the present, Young-shin doesn't accept that she is his mom. Joon-tae places the gun on his head and fires before anyone can reach him. When Sung is going through his dad's belongings, he finds a golden spoon. Tae-yoon had said that maybe dad used his golden spoon, and that's why he knew who he was. On the other side, Tae-yoon is with Joo-hee, looking at his dad's photo. He says to her, earlier, I just wanted to become rich so I could buy a house for my parents. But then, I don't know how everything started going wrong and I didn't even realize it. Tae-yoon goes home and looks at the golden spoon in his locker, which he had replaced with Sung's. He calls the real Tae-yoon, that is, Sung, to meet him. And after giving him the golden spoon back, he apologizes. And he says, I stole your life out of my greed. Because of me, Dad's death happened, and only after that did I realize how wrong I was. He asks the real Tae-yoon, if you want to be that Tae-yoon, then go ahead. But the real Tae-yoon refuses because he wants to stay as Seong. Then he gives the real Sung his golden spoon. Before leaving, the real Tae-yoon says, maybe I've found my biological dad. In the next scene, we see Tae-yoon sitting in his office, looking at his golden spoon. The number 2 reflects in it, meaning in 2 days he could use the golden spoon again. Just then, Yoo-jin comes in. She says that she is going to tell the press about their breakup, and also say that she's leaving Tae-yoon. She felt that she had given Sung's dad the golden spoon, which ultimately led to his death. But Tae-yoon tells her, don't blame yourself. On the other side, Tae-yoon's stepmother is crying in memory of Joon-tae. She is blaming the president. Looking at a photo, she says, could it be my fault that Joon-tae died? Then he calls the driver and asks him if he had found out where the president was. The driver says, I didn't find out anything about that, but I did find out that Johan had committed suicide and his body was found by the president first. After this, Tae-yoon goes to his office and sends several documents related to Doshin Group to someone. Then, after reaching home, he looks at his golden spoon. Now, the number 0 reflects in it. It was the last day to use the spoon. On the other side, we see the same granny thinking, today marks 10 years, so she should have come. On the other hand, the president had called Tae-yoon to meet him at a place. When he arrives, the president says, "This is the place where my friend died." The president then says, "I found out that you've been investigating about me and Johan. If you wanted to know, you could have just asked me directly." Then Tae-yoon calls the president by Johan's name, without any fear. He also calls him Seung. So Seung asks, "Since when did you know that I am Seung?" Johan says, "Since the first time you came to my house. When I saw the golden spoon in your hand, I understood." Seung says, "I was very poor, that's why I wanted to become rich." "But you were already rich, then why all this?" From Johan's answer, it is revealed that he was not satisfied. He wanted more and more money. Seung then asks, "Why did you kill Joo-hee's dad?" So Johan says, "He was becoming an obstacle in my path, that's why." Johan also accepts that he would have Gi-yoon. And Seung, the real Tae-yoon, killed the previous night, but when he arrived, his plan flopped. Seung says, "Johan, you're a monster." So Johan laughs and says, "You're no different from me. You're just like me. That's why now you can live as part of my family." Tae-yoon refuses and says, "You'll have to pay for everything you've done." Just then, many police officers arrive there. Tae-yoon says, "I've sent all the secrets of Doshin Group to them, all the fraud and tax evasion documents." He then says, "Don't worry, you won't go alone. I'll go with you too. We both have stolen others' lives, so both of us will have to pay the price." Johan says, "What do you think? I didn't know about all this," and says, "I've sent your jacket, the one with Joo-hee's dad's blood, to the police." The police start arresting Tae-yoon for murder, but he pushes everyone and runs away from there. Then we see a flashback of the day 10 years ago, the day Joo-hee's dad died. Watching the clip reveals that the president came to meet him that day. At the same time, Tae-yoon is seen running away from there. Joo-hee's dad blackmails the president and says, "If you save my company, then I'll give you that footage." The president takes the footage, but as soon as he gets it, he beats him on the head and murders him. At that moment, Tae-yoon arrives there, but seeing so much blood, he panics and faints. Tae-yoon is running away, and just then Joo-hee arrives with a car, and Tae-yoon gets in and escapes. As soon as Joo-hee reaches the office, everyone is watching the news. The news was showing that Tae-yoon is being searched for capital market app violation and murder. Seeing this, Joo-hee is shocked. On the other side, we see Granny, who was saying to the real Tae-yoon, "What are you doing here? You haven't even used the golden spoon 3 times." Tae-yoon says, "I don't want to use the spoon. I want my money refunded." Hearing this, Granny laughs loudly and says, "You're the first customer who has come for a refund. Think carefully." The real Tae-yoon returns his spoon and asks, "Why do you sell all this?" Granny says, "Everyone complains that the world is unfair, so I give a chance to those who feel that way." The real Tae-yoon says, "Okay, but I don't want any chance, I just want my money back." Granny finally gives the money. Just then, he gets a call from Yoo-jin, and she tells him everything about Tae-yoon. Then he goes to the president and asks him, "You did everything, and now how can you blame Tae-yoon?" The president says, "Why? I mean, you consider yourself Seung?" The real Tae-yoon shouts and says, "I know you are Johan. You stole my dad's life." The president laughs and says, "Where Doshin is today, it's all possible because of me. Your dad would have sunk the company." Tae-yoon says, "I don't believe that. Talent isn't everything. Whether you come from a rich family or are talented, none of that matters. All people are equal." The president says, "Humans can never be equal. Your way of thinking is the reason you will always live in poverty. If you were Tae-yoon, maybe you could have achieved something. But now, it's too late." He then says something that, upon hearing it, Seung, that is the real Tae-yoon, comes outside. He remembers what the president said. He never went back to that granny, and he doesn't know the last rule of the golden spoon. Then he calls Tae-yoon. Then Tae-yoon goes to Seung's mom. She gives him food. While eating, Tae-yoon takes out the golden spoon. This was the same spoon that was kept in Alex's museum. Alex had given the spoon very easily, saying, "If this spoon proves you innocent, then take it." Tae-yoon eats with that spoon, and all of the president's memories start coming into him. After knowing everything, including the murder, Tae-yoon starts to leave from there. Then Tae-yoon comes to his house. There he meets his stepmother, who didn't like him but hated the president, so she doesn't stop him. Instead says that she will also help. When the president returns home, he finds Tae-yoon sitting there. Tae-yoon says, "I just came to tell you that the money you had hidden in your account, I have donated all of it." Just then a call comes, and it is revealed that 2.5 trillion won has been donated from his account to an NGO. The president asks how he did that, so Tae-yoon shows him the golden spoon and tells him about the last rule. Tae-yoon says, "Now I know everything. You provoked Jun-tae to commit suicide, you murdered Joo-hee's dad, and Johan." On the other side, Joo-hee's colleagues were checking President Na's old interview tapes. Just then they find the footage in which it is clearly visible that President Ven is murdering Johan. Seung goes to report to the police, but they are not sure anything will happen because the president was very powerful. So Joo-hee calls Eugene and asks for help. On the other side, President asks Tae-yoon why he has come there. Tae-yoon says, "What do you think? I just came to give you a chance to surrender. After seeing what you did and everything else, I wanted to kill you, but I also saw some moments where you considered me your son and felt proud of me." President Ven says, "Yes, many times after seeing you I thought how great it would be if you were my son." Saying this, he comes from behind and starts strangling Tae-yoon. On the other side, Yoo-jin, on Joo-hee's request, tells everything about President Ven's murder in her company's live telecast and also shows the murder footage. That video goes viral. Everyone is shocked after watching the video, and everyone finds out everything. Tae-yoon is unable to free himself. He becomes semi-conscious. So the president lets him go, but Tae-yoon gets up and starts hitting him. Just then, Sung comes and stops him. Then the police arrest the president and take him away. Tae-yoon apologizes to the real Tae-yoon, so he says thank you to him for everything. Because of him, he got a chance to become the son of such parents. Tae-yoon also has to go with the police because of his charges. On Tae-yoon's instruction, the driver was searching around the house for the murder weapon that was used in Joo-hee's dad's murder. And finally, it is found. With the murder weapon being found, the murder charge is removed from Tae-yoon. After being released on bail, he meets Joo-hee. He comes home to take his belongings. Then he meets his gardener. After a casual conversation with him, he goes inside and Joo-hee waits for him outside. On the other side, the president is talking to his lawyer about the case and says, "What I've said should happen." In the next scene, we see that on the president's order, someone mixes poison in a juice, and that poison is sent for Tae-yoon. When he is packing in his room, he picks up the glass and drinks it. Meanwhile, Yong-shin goes with her housekeeper to Tae-yoon's room to say goodbye. On opening the door, she sees a lot of blood and screams loudly. Joo-hee is waiting outside. When the ambulance arrives, she panics and goes inside. Inside, there is chaos. She runs to Tae-yoon's room, and a body is being taken out from there, and the housekeeper is crying loudly, taking Tae-yoon's name. Joo-hee also gets very scared and runs toward the body, shouting Tae-yoon's name and crying loudly. Then the scene shifts, and we see 3 years later. Seung's interview is going on, where many people are present. Joo-hee is also there. It is revealed that Seung designed the golden spoon, which became very popular, and through it, Seung also became very successful. Joo-hee and Seung were still very good friends. Seung says, the president was about to be released from jail. Everyone knew that the president had given poison to Tae-yoon, but because of money, he was being released. Joo-hee and Seung feel sad remembering Tae-yoon, and he says, Yoo-jin and the president also used the golden spoon, but they didn't have to pay any price. Joo-hee says, they'll have to pay a price too, or maybe they're already paying it. Then we see Yoo-jin. She had married Park and now she also had a baby. Nara's dad had started working at Johan's house. Yoo-jin was very happy. One day she goes out with Park for some work, and the baby is with her dad. Nara's dad had borrowed money from many people, and those people were messaging him asking for the money. He couldn't understand how to repay everyone. When Yoo-jin's dad was about to take the baby out for a walk, Nara's dad offers to take the baby and tells him to rest. But Nara's dad didn't have good intentions. He takes the baby and leaves from there. On the other side, we see that the president has been released from jail. His sentence was reduced due to medical reasons. He now stayed paralyzed and in a wheelchair. Yong-shin was giving him small doses of poison in the name of medicine, and that's why he became like this. She says to the president, I won't kill you until the business succession is complete. Don't feel bad. You had to pay the price for what you did to Johan and Jun-tae. He then says, you really didn't know that Jun-tae was Johan's son? Even in this condition, the president is shocked and tries to cry because he knew that Johan was his own son. Joo-hee finds out about a gardener who had earned several billion won through vlogging. He also used to teach orphan children about stock investment. His name was Han, and Joo-hee had gone to take his interview. Joo-hee finds out that Han is at the beach, so she also goes to the beach. There she remembers the moments she spent with Seung. There she also sees those comics and the golden spoon. Just then, Han arrives there, who is none other than the real Seung, but both of them fail to recognize each other. Actually, when Tae-yoon was about to drink the juice, on the other side, the gardener of his house was trying to use the golden spoon to become Tae-yoon. Before Tae-yoon could drink the juice, he had turned into the gardener, and the gardener into Tae-yoon. And the gardener wondered what he was doing in Tae-yoon's room, so he left from there. On the other side, that gardener, after becoming Tae-yoon, feels very happy and drinks the juice kept in his room and dies because of the poison. When Yong-shin came into the room, she saw the body of the gardener, that is, the fake Tae-yoon. At that very moment, when Joo-hee ran inside, She bumped into the real Tae-yoon, but at that time he had turned into the gardener, so she couldn't recognize him. Han says, "Even if I hadn't become rich, I think I could have still been happy." Joo-hee remembers him. They both talk more, and the drama ends here.